Hello friends, we continue our topic on tenses and today we learn about the past tense. So, we already read about the present tense and the future tense. So, what is the past tense? Past tense is when we talk of things that have happened before we even talk of them. For example, what I did yesterday. So, yesterday I went to a party. So, it is something which I was doing yesterday or I did yesterday. There I was eating ice cream. I was enjoying with my friends. So, this is how I would talk of something which has happened in the past. So, what is past tense? It is the denotion of some action that we've done in the past or yesterday or last year or last week and we talk of it today. And in this module, what are we going to learn about? We are going to talk of the past tense, the kinds of past tense which are simple past tense, past indefinite, past continuous tense, past perfect tense and past perfect continuous tense. So, simple past and the past indefinite is similar in its sense, but we can denote it with two names. Let's look at verbs that refer to the past time are said to be in the past tense. Past tense indicates an action or an event that took place in the past time. For example, Sachin scored a century. Wright brother invented airplane. I made a mistake. So, all of this which happened in the past is called or denoted by a past tense. Raj was eating a mango. Kinds of past tense. So, we again have four: simple past or past indefinite, past continuous tense, past perfect tense and past perfect continuous tense. Let's look at the simple past tense or the past indefinite tense. The simple past tense is used to indicate an action that took place in the past. So, whatever you did yesterday or earlier is past tense, and also it will talk of actions that are habitually or they are done repeatedly. So, it is also used to denote an action done in past. It does not refer to any particular moment. Simple random actions that you always do. Habits. For example, Suman wrote a letter. So, something which Suman did yesterday. A cat jumped over the wall. Harpreet met me 2 months back. Smita ate a banana. So, something which is a general action done in the past. Simple past tense is used to express a habit of the past. For example, she took an apple daily. She ate an apple daily. I went to school daily. I completed my homework every evening. So, these are habits that I have formed. I played tennis for 1 hour every day. She prayed every morning. Sudhir read the Gita every Sunday. My mother never told a lie. So, simple past tense is used to narrate stories from the past. So, whenever we are talking of stories and the past things, we use the simple past in general. For example, Ram went to the forest with Sita. Once upon a time, there was a king. So, remember how we use the past tense to narrate our stories. Indians fought the British tooth and nail, which means very hard. Jack and Jill went up the hill. Ravana became very angry. How do we form the simple past tense or the past indefinite tense? Let's look at it. To form a sentence in the simple past tense, the second form of the verb is used. For example, subject, verb in the past form, object and complement. So, let's look at this example. He wrote a letter. Subject. The second form of a verb, what is the root form here? Write. And what have we used? Wrote. So, W-R-I-T-E, write is the root form and W-R-O-T-E is the second form or the past form. It's an irregular verb because we're changing it by changing the vowel. In the past tense, we can have the affirmative sentences. I read a novel. The peon brought a letter yesterday. She sang a sweet song. He completed the lesson. So, again the same rule applies. Affirmative sentences where you positively affirming or stating the happening of something. Negative sentences. To form negative sentences in the past tense, did not is used followed by the verb form. For example, subject plus did not plus verb form in the present or the root form. and then object or the complement. For example, they did not come yesterday. Now, why aren't we using the second form of the verb here? Because it's a very, very important rule that you must remember. With did, we will always and always use the first form or the root form. I repeat, with did, D-I-D, we will always and always use the first form of the verb, never the second form of the verb. Let's look at another example. I did not participate in the cultural program. So, did plus participate, which is in the root form. We will not say I did not participated. That will be incorrect usage. So, what do we use? Did plus the root form, not the second form. Prakash did not tell the answer. Kamal did not learn his lesson. Moving on to the interrogative sentences. To form interrogative sentences in simple past tense, the sentence is started with did followed by the subject. So, what the verb will be in the present. Again, as I said, did because we will only use in the present form. So, the structure is did, then subject, then verb form in the root form and object or the complement. And what should we not forget? Yes, the question mark. So, let us look at this example. Did he complete his work yesterday? Did we not invite you to the party? Did you go to school? Did the teacher not tell the story? So, you saw how all the verbs were in the present form or the root form because we were using the word did. Moving on to the past continuous tense, the second form of the past tense. So, past continuous tense is used to indicate continuity of an action in the past. I was writing a letter yesterday. I was playing in the rain yesterday. Did it rain? No. So, example, the chief guest was distributing prizes to the winners. She was taking a class. So, you see how the action is continuous in these sentences. So, the past continuous tense is usually used with past indefinite tense for the affirmation. For example, when I went to school, the principal was delivering a lecture to the students. I was reading a newspaper when it started raining. To form a sentence in the past continuous tense, the auxiliary verbs was or were are used, followed by the present participle. Present participle form of the verb is the verb plus ing, because we are talking of continuous, so verb plus ing. So, what is the structure? Subject plus was or were, was with singular, were with plural. Then verb in the present form, the participle form, object and the complement. So, for example, let us look at the affirmative sentence. I was reading a book. You were going to the market. We were watching a Hindi film. They were running. Negative. Now, what will be the negative sentences when you use the word not, never, yes, no, yes. So, to form negative sentences in simple past tense or the past continuous tense, we use did not followed by the verb form. For example, subject plus was or were, not, present participle, object or the complement. So, for example, my sister was not doing her sums. They were not playing football. She was not talking in the class. So, the use of the word no, not, never will change them from affirmative to negative. You were not playing any games. Coming on to the interrogative or the question sentences. So, to form interrogative sentences in the past continuous tense, the sentences are started with auxiliary verb followed by the subject and the present participle form of the verb. So, structure was, were, subject, verb, present participle, object complement and the question mark, yes. So, let us look at the examples. Was Rohit cleaning his room? Surprising. Were girls not playing in the park? Were they going to school? Was your brother studying in Sydney? So, why was? Because now we are talking of one which is singular, that is why was. Moving on to the past perfect tense. Now, what is past perfect tense? The past perfect tense indicates a past action or activity that took place before in some another past situation or before any other activity that began in the past. So we're talking of two actions, both in the past. One gets completed before the other one begins. So for example, the train had left when we reached the station. So you see, there are two actions which happen. One is about the train leaving the station and one is about us reaching the station. So first action is complete before the second could be completed. Hence we call it as past perfect. So whichever action happens first will have the had plus the verb form. Look at this one. I had finished my work when he arrived. They had finished their job when the train started. To form a sentence in the past perfect tense, auxiliary verb had is used, followed by the past participle form of the verb. So subject plus had plus verb plus the verb in the past participle and then the object or the complement. In these, when we talk of the affirmative sentences, I had seen him before I went for the interview. I had passed the exam. He had finished his work when I came to see him. He had bought a car. So moving to negative sentences. To form negative sentences in the past perfect tense, not is added between the auxiliary verb and the verb. So our structure will now become subject plus had plus not plus the verb in past participle form and then the object or the complement. For example, Mohan had not completed his work. The minister had not arrived. I had not told him about it. He had not attended the function. So in all of these, if you look at, we have the auxiliary had, then not, and then in the verb in the past participle form. How do we make the interrogative sentences here? So what happens to form an interrogative sentence in the past perfect tense? The sentence is started with the auxiliary verb followed by subject and then the past participle form of the verb. So had plus subject plus verb plus the past participle and the object or the complement and the question mark. Yes. For example, had the police arrived? Had they not reached there? Had everybody gone from the scene? Had they not informed their boss about their sickness? Can we use has or have here? No, we can't. Why? Because has or have will be used with present tense only, and for the past tense we use had. Let's look at the past perfect continuous tense. So when you are talking of an action which is supposedly going on for a long time period in the past, we use the past perfect continuous tense. The past perfect continuous tense is used to denote an action that began in the past, continued for some time and was completed in the past only. It cannot go on in our present scene. It describes an action completed before a certain moment in the past. So let's look at this example. All of us had been waiting for you since morning. I had been working with the firm for 10 years when the director was changed. So both the actions have been completed in the past time sequence. Everybody had been playing since morning. I had been trying to find the answer to this question since morning. So to form a sentence in the past perfect continuous tense, auxiliary verb had is used followed by been and the present participle form of the verb. So subject plus had plus been plus verb with ing and then the object or the complement. For example, look at the affirmative sentences here. He had been writing for 5 months. She had been waiting for a bus for 2 hours. He had been reading for 1 hour. We had been playing since 9 a.m. So these are all affirmative sentences which denote the past perfect continuous tense. Look at the negative sentences. So to form negative sentences, what will happen? We will add not after the auxiliary verb had and before the verb been. For example, subject plus had plus not plus been plus our verb plus ing and then the object and the complement. For example, Sanjukta had not been dancing for 2 hours. I had not been playing since a week. They had not been talking for 30 minutes. He had not been coming to office for 10 days. So, all of these sentences are negative sentences in the past perfect continuous tense. Coming on to the interrogative sentences in the past perfect continuous tense. So, to form interrogative sentence in the past perfect continuous tense, the sentence is started with the auxiliary verb had, followed by the subject, been, and then the present participle form of the verb and the question mark. And remember, only had, no has, no have, because we are talking of past tense. So, had plus subject plus been plus verb plus ing, and then the object and the complement, and then the question mark. Alright, let's look at this. Had she been writing to you since February? Had they not been working since last year? Had he been travelling for 3 days? Had you not been talking to him since morning? So, what have we learned, kids, in this module? We've learned about the past tense, we've learned about the kinds of past tense, which are the simple past or the past indefinite tense. We talked about the past continuous tense, we talked about the past perfect tense, and we talked about the past perfect continuous tense as well. I hope you've been enjoying these modules. Thank you. Keep watching for more.